What's going on, everybody? GemMint here, back with another statue unboxing and review. And as you can see, we have the 1/3 scale Swamp Thing from Prime 1 Studio. So happy to get this one in. It has two boxes. They are both enormous. This is box one. It's very tall, kind of on the thin side. So let's get the styrofoam out and on the floor. Alright, so in the box, it does have some advertisements for the 1/3 scale Lobo. That's the deluxe edition with the dolphins. I might get this one, man. I'm considering it. I'm collecting 1/3 scale characters, so it's on my radar for sure. Another advertisement for the Black Manta from Injustice 2, a 1/4 scale Aquaman villain, but I think they canceled this one actually. And then the DK3, the Batman 1/3 scale piece that I've owned, the blue and gray. I would definitely own it again. I almost bought it back, but not yet. And then lastly, of course, it has the package contents and the assembly guide here. So right here we can see what's in both boxes, and then on the back the assembly guide. But I think we're gonna do a little bit better because you can actually see where the pieces go rather than small pictures. So let's get the lid off. This one does have the classy black fabric, revealing Swamp Thing and a bunch of green parts in the box. So let's start taking them out, y'all. This is a right arm switch out, which puts his hand facing upward, giving him a long, pointy elbow there. Really wicked and jagged. Love the muscle shoulder definition, but it's made out of tree bark. You have all the tree vines and the green on the inside. Beautiful. Then we have one of his right hand switch outs, holding his massive sword. Definitely Scott Snyder New 52 influenced. Great details on the actual hand, and we'll see a lot more hands, so we'll focus on the sword with that bark blade. Awesome. Here's the left arm switch out. There is only one arm, but it has two hands for the left. But again, the tree bark making up the muscle, the leaves, the vines. Everything looks great here on the arm. Here we have a couple of hand switch outs. You can see the tree vines making the veins of his hand, the wrinkles in his hands. It looks so realistic. The great paint tones from the brown to the green. Here we have two right fists. So he does have a couple of right arm switch outs, 3 in total. So he does have a closed fist option for both of those arms. Not sure if I even did that right during assembly. Alright, then we have a left hand balled up fist as well. So you can have him, you know, fist clenched. Here's another right arm. Like I said, there's 3, so this is the second one. This is going to have it where his palm could be outstretched with the bird or his closed fist. And then the other right arm. So this one will be facing down where he can hold the sword or have the other closed fist. I guess that matches the paint tones a little bit better. But again, the detail, the swampiness, the moss. Awesome. Onto the portrait. So this is what I would consider more of the New 52 portrait as well. He's got that bridged nose, the red and yellow eyes. Got the vines wrapping around his head. And then the other portrait, which is more of a classic look, I would say. He's got more of that Eddie Munster face, that longer chin. Still has the leaves and vines throughout, wrapping around his head. Almost like he has a hairdo. And then boom, the portrait side by side, so you can kind of get a look at the differences. They do position in the same way. And then the body. So guys, we got some issues, man. If you can see all the speckling on the body, we'll get to that. And I have a huge broken chunk here. It almost seems like the piece got warped. And I'll talk about that once we get out of the assembly. Here's a little piece that broke off, and you can see it looks like it was factory glued on. So this was always meant to be a secondary piece. Alright, on to box 2. If you thought box 1 was big, forget about it. This one is huge. It's like a refrigerator box. We do have the art all around it, nice to see, but man, what an enormous box that's gonna house the base amongst other pieces. So let's get this huge styrofoam box on the floor. All right, here we go. So can't really get it in frame, but we'll go ahead and remove the lid. And we have more of the black fabric covering the pieces. And like I said, the base, the big tree trunk. And here we'll pull up some little critters and animals. So we have a little bird that has 2 places where we can display. And actually had a string on it. I just wanted to rip that off real quick. 2 little lizards, so cute little guys that'll go on the base. They have keys with magnets. 2 little flowers that just get thrown on the base that we'll show during the assembly. And then we have a bunch of these hanging pieces of like rope type of hemp. I'm not really sure. It just gives you swamp vibes. But we'll take a closer look at all these different pieces as we assemble the statue. And then we have a little log that goes on the base. Kind of looks like something else, but we have that and this translucent splash. The water from the swamp as Swamp Thing is walking through, so that's cool. Look at the peg on this big tree bark. This piece kind of goes behind him, and it's huge, man. Wrapped around with like the vines, like I said, those hanging pieces. And the base itself, which you already knew. Too big to hold under this camera. We'll see a lot of it during assembly and review. Speaking of which, before we get to it, I do want to thank That Spider-Man Booth for sponsoring this video. You guys got to be following them on the best place to buy and sell comic books, Whatnot. They have daily live comic book auctions with mystery boxes where you can win CGC key issues, and also their latest exclusive variants through Street Level Hero. If you haven't yet, you can download Whatnot using the link in my description. It'll give you a $10 credit that you can use towards your first purchase, either with That Spider-Man Booth or with myself, because I do sell on there every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific. All right, so base is on the table. Let's get that big tree trunk keyed in. So just want to make sure we line up the peg. And boom, once it's in there, it's good. That is secure. Then we're going to put these little hanging pieces of moss and vegetation so we can see that this one goes right here. This is the piece that has the shorter left side and the long right side, so that goes right here on the big part of the tree trunk, and then over here on the bottom. Then we have this piece that's just kind of like a half of a piece that pegs into the side of the tree trunk, and then the bottom of this branch above it. This one that hangs will actually key into the other pieces of the brown hanging moss right here, and then it'll plug into the bottom of the base. All right, speaking of the base, let's go ahead and get that splash in there that goes into the key first, and then we get Swamp Thing. Now, I was nervous because this piece, like I said, seemed to have gotten warped, and we'll talk about that once we get this all assembled, but we end up getting him keyed in pretty well here. All right, better than I thought. That little log goes by his right foot. We'll go ahead and get our little geckos and lizards there. So this one goes right on the front log. Then we'll go ahead and spin it around, and we'll put the other little lizard on one of the branches on the back. It keys in. There's a notch. And we'll start working on Swamp Thing. So one of the right arms, this is the facing down arm. And like I said, you could put that clenched fist there. I think that might be the wrong one, though. Or we could switch it out for the sword fist, which is the switch out that I would use for sure. You can remove the facing down arm and put this arm where he has it halfway lifted up. And then, like I said, you could put a clenched fist there. Or you could switch it out to his open palm with the bird that pegs in. Now, I couldn't really get the peg all the way in, so it kind of pokes out. I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be. But if you don't display that hand, you can put the bird perched behind him at the very top. So it actually sits better there. All right, so last arm switch out, the one that he's pointing upward with that big elbow. And then he has the one left arm switch out, like I said, but with the two hand options, right? So that clenched fist option on the left, or we could switch that out for an open palm. But now let's move upward and take a look at these portraits. So let's start with that classic portrait, old school Bronze Age Swamp Thing, if you will. Or we could switch it out with the new 52, the more modern look. A little bit more of the tree vines across the bridge of his nose. And then lastly, we'll just throw the little flowers on the base here. Alright guys, here we go. Swamp Thing all assembled, and as you can see, this guy is a beast. I gotta get the measurements. It looks like his head is the tallest point, so let's take a look. He's just shy of 34 inches tall, and the diameter, he's 24 inches in diameter. However, the sword pokes out a little bit more. It almost puts it like 26 inches forward. But the sword to me it's the switch out that I prefer. And speaking of switch outs, this is the regular version, which retailed $1,500 through Prime 1 Studio. They did have a DX version with a third portrait. So unfortunately, I was not able to snag that, but was still able to grab this one. Now, I mentioned an issue with the body where it felt morphed and there's like speckling around the body. It looks like that first box might have gotten wet. I can see some signs of warpness on the box. The black fabric felt very like hard and stiff. The spackle, man, I don't know what it is. I hope it's not mold. I tried to clean as much as I could of it, but yeah, it looks like those panels on his legs, like the one that broke off, and there's another one down here on his left calf which it looks like there must have been something that expanded or something and it's ready to break. So I don't know what happened. But anyway, we have Alec Holland, we have the Swamp Thing. I'm a huge fan of the character. Every time I read a new Swamp Thing story, I just find another reason to fall in love with the character and the story and the lore of the whole realm of the green, and him being the avatar, the warrior of Earth, if you will, introducing the other realms like the red or the rot or the gray, and then there's a bunch of new ones, including a new one that was introduced during the current Swamp Thing ongoing, which is a new character, not Alec Holland, but it's Levi, and it's the Machine Realm is the newest one. So if you guys aren't reading, you should be checking out that latest Swamp Thing. The base is obviously a swamp. I like how it has kind of like a built-in sub base, a design made up of the swamp, if you will. So that looks really cool. You have the leaves there, nice little hint of green on that brown wood. Then you have like a pond on the top of the vase. It almost looks like he's standing on translucent resin, but it's not. It looks like it's just painted with a high gloss. So much going on here. I love the little lizards that they give us that adds that kind of element of life of the swamp to the bird that, like, you know, we showed during the assembly. The huge tree bark in the back. Not really sure it was needed. They probably could have got away without it, but they took the time to sculpt that huge piece of tree to really make you feel like you got a swamp base with your Swamp Thing. Then moving up to him, I love how he's all basically one piece except for at the shoulders and at the head. Great job on hiding the seams there for the most part. They did it on the wrist with a vine to hide it, so very smart in how it was sculpted. You can take a lot of liberties, right? Because he's drawn different every time that you see him, whether it's panels of bark made for muscle or vines looking like actual veins in a human arm. A lot of nice detail that the artist put into this one. Kind of a little bit bummed out about the issues that this one has, but I still think it's an awesome statue. I do plan to keep it, whether we get something fixed or just keep this one and display it with everybody else. I do have Deadman, which is the next statue that you'll probably see unboxed here, and gonna get the 1/3 scale Constantine when it comes out. I don't think it went up for pre-order yet. But that's Swamp Thing, guys. Let me know what you think about him in the comments down below. I'm gonna leave you with him spinning on the turntable, showing you the switch outs again. Stay minty fresh. Peace.